All right, welcome everyone to another Beyond Swearing Point 1000 podcast. Welcome to 2022. It has been so long since I made one of these. Pretty much, I've been a little bit gunked up for the past couple of days. Otherwise, I would have made this sooner, which once again would have been a mistake. Pretty much the only actual topic to talk about that happened was our good friends at Microsoft decided to buy Activision Blizzard. And I had a slight bit of a podcast lined up for Activision Blizzard stuff. You know, really the main meat of it was that, you know, some dude stole breast milk and stuff, and the company looked uncertain because a lot of people were starting to boycott it. Or not boycott, sorry, a lot of companies were starting to, quote, reevaluate their relationship with Activision Blizzard. Basically, all three of the main publishers in the gaming industry said we're going to reevaluate this relationship that we have, you know, in light of all the stuff that's come out. What Microsoft really meant by that was we're going to look to buy the fuckers, and they did. And unless there's some like late minute blockade of this by either antitrust laws or anti-monopoly laws or something of the like, it's a done deal. Microsoft will own Activision Blizzard in what is probably the biggest merger in gaming history, I could imagine, or definitely one of the biggest in either of the company's entire existences. Pretty much the way it goes is that they will add their list of games under the Microsoft brand, and they will report to Phil Spencer. So Bobby Kotick is either going to, you know, get quietly shuffled out, or he's going to go do something else, pretty much. And that's kind of what it's shaping up to be, is that basically they're trying to get rid of the toxic element of Blizzard. And I have mixed feelings about this. On one hand, I guess let's get the bad out of the way right away. On one hand, you have the rise of megacorps, pretty much. You're basically seeing that in real time, right? First, Microsoft bought up a bunch of small studios or whatever, which is whatever, because most of these studios probably wouldn't survive 10 years without, you know, something big or something major to back them. Then you had Microsoft buy up Bethesda, you know, which kind of immediately shifted the power dynamic. And now Microsoft is buying up one of the biggest publishers in the gaming industry, you know, the guys that make Call of Duty, you know, like, let alone all the other Blizzard stuff. I mean, I guess if you want to throw World of Warcraft under the umbrella, well, congratulations, World of Warcraft is now under the umbrella. But on the other side of that, I can't deny that there is some good to be done here, because Microsoft has the money, they have the funding, and they have the, you know, the kind of we don't care, just make the game sort of attitude, to let them just create games. So, like, if the people at Blizzard can still make games, which is pretty much what it comes down to, and I mean, like, people at Activision we already know can make games. Call of Duty been going forever. Whether you like it or not, I don't, but that's another topic for another time. If the people if the people at Blizzard can make games still, like, you know, they could still make the good games that they know people want and that people do want, then this is great. You know, like, for instance, people, you know, like, Diablo 4, which was kind of up in the air because of all the stuff going on at Blizzard, now they could just do whatever. Who gives a shit, you know? Like, okay, well, we you know, the money's not a problem. We have the backing of one of the biggest companies on the planet, you know, their entertainment division. So let's just fucking make it. So at this point, I don't feel nervous that Blizzard games are not going to come out anymore. Not that I'm, like, stupendously nervous that, like, I'm not really looking forward to anything super big from Blizzard. I mean, this is good for WoW fans, I guess, indirectly. Maybe they won't take only one patch a fucking year, and even then it'll be kind of underwhelming, and then they just expect you to do weird shit for the rest of the year. So congrats to them. Who knows how long it'll take for this to come into effect. On the Activision side, I'm really just hoping that we get more Crash and Spyro at some point. If they make anything to do with Crash, you know, they're going to do more Spyro. Maybe now they could free Toys for Bob from their slavery, from their working in the slave mines of Warzone, which would be kind of nice. I'm sorry, immediately this happens. Pretty much there's almost no reason that they had to go there in the first place, so hopefully someone at Microsoft will make the executive decision to totally not do that. Because Activision, like, they don't have a ton of games, do they? You know, like, it's mostly really just been Call of Duty. You know, like, they had Sekiro a few years ago, but I don't know if that should count too heavily. I don't know. I mean, that's up to you. So, like, on the flip side, there's a chance that a lot of these games that I want to get made or that have been around can continue to be, you know, getting made. Obviously, Call of Duty, I don't know, you know, what their plans are as of now in terms of exclusivity for Call of Duty of all fucking franchises. But, you know, if Call of Duty becomes a franchise that goes exclusive, that could be a real game shifter. Because a lot of people still buy and play Call of Duty to this day. And if Microsoft is willing to just say, listen, don't care, just release it on our shit and PC and call it a day, then that's kind of it. You know, like, what else are they going to do? Like, how could Sony really recoup that? You know, this is not even like, oh, how will they ever recover? But really, how could they ever really recoup the loss of, like, Call of Duty? You know, Battlefield is having a disastrous launch right now, as usual. And they have Halo too, or like what more could they really do? And it remains to be seen. You know, obviously nothing really has come from the Bethesda end of this. Hopefully what will happen is that Microsoft will, and this is my personal hope, hopefully that what will happen is Microsoft will take, I've said this before with the Battle.net launcher and the Windows Store with the gaming element of it, hopefully they'll just merge that together into a better launcher. And I mean, at this point now, I mean, they could do the same with Battle.net, right? You know, basically, they could end up indirectly becoming like an Origin level store with actual shit on it that they are going to care about. And I know people threw around Microsoft buying EA. And, you know, it's got other people talking about what other gaming publishers could be bought or should be bought and all this other stuff. Just for all intents and purposes, pretend that anti-monopoly laws don't exist, because they don't. And that no company is really going, like none of these people in America are going to stop these guys from merging, I promise you. What is it? Warner Brothers and Discovery are merging together. Zynga and I think something else are merging together, and then they're not stopping it. They don't care. They don't give a shit. Really, the only other company I would want to get bought out is Konami. And that's only because it fulfills the only part of this that I like, which is there is a chance that games will be made, right? Even if Metal Gear is a dead duck in the water, you know, there's still Castlevania that they can make. There's one other thing Konami makes, Silent Hill. There's still a chance that they could have Silent Hill and we could see Castlevania again, which would be great. In my opinion, I just kind of wish they would just sell the IPs, but they're not going to do it. I hate them, but that's about it. That's the only criteria of that it fulfills for me personally, is that it gives a chance for games to be made that you knew otherwise would not be made. And for me, that's like the whole story of Spyro and Crash in a nutshell. Is it's like nobody wants to make Spyro and Crash. Well, now maybe Microsoft won't give a shit and they'll just make it. You know, they could have platformers on their side. Because what platformers do you have on Sony's side? Sony let all these motherfuckers die 10 years ago with the beginning of the PS4, or I'm sorry, the PS3. Kenna might be the only one in recent memory, and Ratchet and Clank. I'm sorry, I shouldn't discount that. That's it. Where is everything else? You know, where's the new Sly Cooper? The last Sly Cooper came out 9 years ago. You feel old yet? I still haven't played it, which is hilarious, but that's besides the point. The last Sly Cooper was 2013. The last Jack and Daxter was, God even knows, some weird, was it Jack X or was it The Lost Frontier? You know, like years ago. They gave up Spyro and Crash. Like, Sony has, and this is my biggest criticism of Sony, is that one, they don't really respect backwards compatibility, and two, they always find some weird way to like lose all their franchises every so often, and then what remain they kind of shit on. So I'm not like a super fan of Sony games. If that's if I could go so far and be so bold, I'm not a super fan of how Sony handles a lot of what they do. I find it to be kind of disgusting. But that said, I don't really want the video game industry to become 2 or 3 mega corporations, you know, owning all these studios and licensing them out. Like, I don't like all these points of failure, or I don't like having a few points of failure. Now, Microsoft can't really fail. They're kind of too big to fail. just by virtue of the fact that they sell Windows. I mean, like, really, they sell Windows. That's a big deal. They kind of hold up the S&P 500 alongside Apple, Google, and Amazon. And I guess to Facebook as well. Like, it is kind of a big deal. They are a big company. Like they are one of the prototype or archetypical big companies. They're not to be fucked with. So they're not going anywhere. You know, like unlike Sony, which a few years ago they were, you know, having a little bit of dire straits because I think it was Sony TVs weren't good or whatever, and like, you know, the movie industry wasn't too great or something weird like that. They were having some money problems, and it's like, oh, video games are a big part of our revenue, because of course they are. So yeah, I personally feel like it's good, but it's also bad, because there's a lot of responsibility on the company end, and companies are probably the one entity I wouldn't try to never hold responsible, because their only goal is to make money. And I mean, like, there's ways to make money. I mean, like, I couldn't imagine they're gonna buy up all this stuff. I mean, I'm just really huffing the hopium that we get some good stuff out of this. Not including, but not limited to, more Spyro. You know, after the Reignited trilogy, I was under the complete impression that Activision were going to be the heroes of that story. And my God, was I horrifically wrong, which makes me incredibly sad. Because, yeah, they put in a lot of work. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell you. Toys for Bob? You know, it's rare to have a studio like that. I don't want to turn this into a Spyro rant, but it's rare to have studios like that. And I think Microsoft recognizes that the only way that they're going to succeed in the face of... I don't really know what Sony does, to be honest. I mean, they got a lot of different games, if you like them. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be shitting on them. Ghost of Tsushima was a great fucking game. And last year's DLC was just amazing, so I can't really shit on it. So yeah, like, if every game they made was Ghost of Tsushima, yeah, I could kind of see the point. Every game they make is not Ghost of Tsushima, unfortunately. But they do have a lot coming out. They got Horizon Forbidden West, which I'm going to start for Horizon Forbidden Dawn soon, probably today, since I have a couple hours, probably right after this podcast, if I could get something to eat soon. What else? They have the new God of War, which I'll play the old God of War, and then they have Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man's weird because I don't really know anything about Spider-Man. Like, I've seen the Tobey Maguire films. I've only seen, like, 1 and 2 more than once. I don't really remember them because it's been literally over a decade since I've seen anything beyond clips. I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I'm not a big Marvel fan. Like, my biggest excursion into Marvel, beyond seeing some of the fucking MCU, like maybe 3 or 4 movies, is the Netflix shows, which got canceled, which is a whole other story that I'm still salty about, because I like the Netflix shows. The Netflix shows were really good. I love them. I thought that was such a unique and fresh look to have all these interwoven plot lines building to something, and it's a damn shame that because of Disney Plus, one way or another, it got all fucked up, because it was truly like the kind of storytelling I like. You know, and it's really a shame. I mean, I'm glad it happened. I'm just sad that we didn't really get, like, a true ending to it, which isn't right. It's not fair. You know, it's you have this great TV show, and it's fucked up. It really is. It's very rare to have a TV show go from start to finish, and you kind of get, like, a decent ending out of it, you know? There's some shows, like, I think Mr. Robot was pretty good. I personally like the Evangelion movie that came out. It's very rare to get, like, a decent ending to something, and it was very obvious that they were going to get more out of it. The only other thing I would probably talk about while we're on the topic of TV shows is the Cowboy Bebop remake came and went. It's very obvious that from the original show, Netflix had to inject a certain amount of modernized culture and a whole bunch of other shit into it that had nothing to do with Cowboy Bebop and only served to make it worse. And what makes it even more hilarious is the degree to which some of the actors went to bat for this show. Obviously, I'm talking about Faye's actress, but also the actor that plays Giran, which is funny because I actually kind of like some of the changes that Netflix made for the show. I actually like... I kind of could vibe with Giran and the bar that he was running in the show. I actually said, you know what, that's okay. right? Like that's okay as far as like an adaptation goes. I thought that was kind of cool because Giram was kind of a minor character, and I like that he was in a couple of the episodes early on. Some of the show, most of the Cowboy Bebop show, is pretty much them like retooling old episodes, and there's a couple new episodes thrown in there. It's really weird how they approached a lot of it. They butchered Vicious, and that's not to like shit on the guy who played Vicious. He just plays a character that's not like Vicious. You know, it's not him. It's obviously almost like a parody, and that's kind of the takeaway that I took from Cowboy Bebop, is that Netflix Bebop pretty much feels like either an early YouTube, you know, like live action, you know, like when a bunch of people got together to like have a film degree and do stuff. That's kind of what Netflix Bebop feels like to me. It feels like a bunch of people, you know, some minor actors, you know, just some people who maybe want to get into acting at all, and a guy with a camera and some, you know, some money to throw around, you know, kind of made a fan project that just somehow lasted for a full season of 10 episodes. Now, there's some good in this show. I would argue that most of the good disregards what exists currently. There's one episode 9, I'm not going to get too heavily into it, which basically functions as a massive prequel to the whole series. I actually thought that episode was pretty good. It was watchable, and at no point did I really feel like it was cringy, because it legitimately took itself seriously. Like it felt like a legitimate episode, like something serious. I didn't feel like, oh, there's gonna be some Netflix tier gag in it or something. You know, oh, there's gonna be something weird that's gonna happen in this. There's all, you know, every moment's a gotcha. It's the modern like humor aesthetic. That's the wrong way to describe it. It's the modern way they set up humor in shows that I find makes a large chunk of them unwatchable. And like it's fine if you have like a sitcom style show, in my opinion, right? Like Big Bang Theory or something. But like if I'm watching a show, I kind of, especially a show like Cowboy Bebop, where, you know, the universe is very realized and stuff. And I mean, like, ignoring for the fact that it's supposed to be a reimagining of a fucking already existing anime, it's very hard to, like, take yourself out of that mindset. This is kind of why I also don't like Marvel movies, and a lot of movies in general. I feel like everything is a build-up to the next gotcha. And I kind of like when things take themselves seriously. Like, there's ways to weave in humor, right? Like, I'm not saying every episode of every show has to be some depressing drone or something like that, but there's a way to weave it in. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way to weave that and keep the show fresh. But that kind of means you can't have an entire episode, you know, be a fucking comedy sketch. And I feel like Bebop ends up trying to take the piss on too many characters too often. The plot lines are silly. It feels like a lot of filler. You know, like, I think the worst thing that they could have done, which they did on Adult Swim and Toonami, was show the original anime. Because obviously Steve Blum loves it, because that's like one of his iconic roles in dubbing. You know, is literally Spike Spiegel. And I just personally really like episode 9. There's a couple parts of episode 10 maybe that are cool, even though that whole episode is stolen and retooled to be whatever. It just feels like a lot of the times Vicious isn't really much of a great villain, and I think that kind of sucks considering how early they introduce him. And there's a lot of acting talent on the show. It's just a lot of it is just poorly written and just boring. Like, I think that's the worst sin that something could be, is boring. Like, unlike Netflix Netflix Death Note, at least Netflix Death Note is a disaster for all the wrong reasons. But it was more funny than this. This at points felt like I was just drolling on, and I'm like, oh, this is that episode with the monkey virus, but now it's a tree virus. And then I guess the shtick is that it's really gruesome to watch happen. And whatever. Okay. I don't know. It like, you could tell somewhere in there's a good idea. But I just don't think you can reboot and reimagine anime like this. I just don't think you can. You know, some of the quirks of characters just don't translate well to real humans and real acting. I just don't think you can do it. I think it's bad, and that's unfortunate. And even from the clips, you could tell this is bad. But I mean, like, ultimately, and this is my controversial take, I kind of want them to make more. You know, I kind of want them to make more, not because I like it, but because they put so much time into it. They put so much effort. Like, it's one of those things, like, I'm not going to be around on Netflix, but I'll at least fucking say, wow, well, that's kind of interesting. Wow, well, they can at least do that. You know, like, if you're going to take the time to butcher it, you might as well completely desecrate it. Why stop there? Because basically, episode 10, without spoiling it, ends on a massive plot twist that has nothing to do with the original show. All of episode 10 is a fucking comedy sketch, pretty much. Except for a few parts and then the ending. And, like, I don't know. I personally think that that's kind of an interesting dynamic. Hilariously enough, the show got canceled like a week after it finished airing. Like a week after it debuted, Netflix pulled the plug on season 2, and it's obvious that they thought there was going to be a season 2. It's obvious that all the actors said, you know, oh, in season 2 we need to be more serious, and all, you know, there's going to be a season 2, and just the way they phrase the end of season 1 implies that there's going to be a season 2. It flat out, you know, leads off on a cliffhanger and an introduction of one of the big characters from the original show. Fuck all of that, it's all gone. In the same way, I don't think there'll ever be a Death Note movie part 2. So which leads me to my biggest point, is like, if you're not going to fully commit to having a fleshed out plot arc that you could adapt and then just end and then be done, then all they're doing this for is to grab attention. This is why I'm glad I don't have a Netflix subscription. All they're doing this is to grab, you know, attention. All they're doing it to do is to say, hey guys, look what anime we get to butcher this year. And before, I think in, what was it, 2019, it was Death Note. And then in this year, it's Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if there was anything in the, or I'm sorry, if there was anything in 2020, I don't know. 2022, I don't know. They're doing Yu Yu Hakusho, and there's already One Piece on the horizon. So they're only moving up the chain. I am a huge fan of Yu Yu Hakusho. That's not a secret at all. I've talked about it a lot. So obviously, for me, I rewatch it once a year. I didn't rewatch it last year. I was a little busy. But I rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho pretty much once a year since like 2011. Or was it 2013? I can't remember. So, for me, you know, rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, you know, is something I've done a lot. And I really, you know, I'm going to be able to pick that one apart even harder than Cowboy Bebop. Because I only watched Cowboy Bebop, I think, twice. And I think the biggest problem I have with it is that there's just so much, like, good stuff that could come from something like this. Now, was remaking and reimagining the original series one of those things that was a shoo-in and should have... I feel like if it was like a minor prologue to the original show, maybe the show would have been better. Because I really liked episode 9, even if it is kind of like bootleg John Wick. It at least worked for me, because it was something original. And I don't know, maybe I was just really starved for something at that point, but I really feel like that could have worked. And Vicious kind of gives me like weird weeaboo incel vibes, which I think that's part of them reading into his character of using a sword a little too much. Yeah, it's I don't know. But all I know is that regardless of how you feel about it, it's canceled, for better or for worse. I'm personally of the opinion that they shouldn't do that. And I know that contrary to all the, you know, all the criticisms I levied and all the stuff I just said, I really personally feel that they should make this stuff, because you're going to be able to laugh at it. And I always say you should laugh at it for all the right reasons. Let's say that. That's not even a cry to say that you need to subscribe to watch it. You know, there's clips on Twitter, there's clips on stuff, you know, just that, you're gonna naturally get it by osmosis, you know what I mean? Especially if sometimes on 4chan you'll get a TV thread about the show or whatever, which is always hilarious for me. That's like the only time I go on TV is when something is coming out that I know is going to be a trash fire. Hold on a second. And so because of that, whenever there's something that I know, like the Powerpuff Girls script getting leaked, that was like a couple of TV threads, basically. There were Game of Thrones threads. There's a lot of stuff. And that's why I really like TV for that one reason. But, like, it's like with the... What was that Gamer Girl game that was coming out? Like, you play the Twitch mod or whatever. I know that studio doesn't... They don't make games to be, like, simps. They make games to, like, have narratives. And I actually am really sad that the internet backlashed them that hard. Because I think that they have a good idea for what they can do. And they didn't really ever get to accomplish it. Yeah, it would have been a stupid game. Right? I think a lot of people are tired of a lot of streamer culture, which is the irony of it is that I myself stream video games over at twitch.tv/SporyandPray1000. However, yeah, I slid that one, but for real, like I think the internet really hit them too hard on that. I kind of wish they had made it. Like if it was a stupid game, we could laugh at it, and I respect them for it. I think they made those other two games, the phone games, the phone horror games or whatever. And to their credit, I respect them for that. I respect indie devs because you know what? Like I'm not talking about like indie devs. Maybe they have a studio. I don't know. But you know what I mean. Like they're small time. Like their biggest games are like what is it? Sarah is Missing and Simulacra. And I think there's like one other minor Simulacra game. It's like the guy that makes Welcome to the Game. A game I can never play. I would love to play it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm too much of a bitch. But I like the second game. I think the second game has a lot of cool mechanics. It also has a lot of bullshit, but whatever. I respect indie devs. I really do, because a lot of times you get guys with really good game ideas and a lot of really original stuff, and they're just shooting their shot. And especially in the horror genre, I mean, there was a long period of time where horror games were just fucked up, and a lot of that owes to Capcom and Konami fucking up their major games. And also just because, like, a lot of the horror games that came out over the years were kind of like B-grade, right? Like Siren and Obscure, even even Eternal Darkness never got its sequel. And I think it's just been a genre that was dominated for so long in the early 2000s and the 90s. And once the doors finally opened, for anyone to develop a game, I mean, a lot of people jumped at it. That's why Five Nights at Freddy's got so big. I not to shit on Scott Cawthorn. I think that people are very shitting on him for his political views, by the way. I'm never not going to stand on that. I'd say the same thing about him if he was a far left or if he was far right. I think the man has good ideas. He's a good game dev. He has good ideas. I don't blame him for stepping back and retiring or whatever it is he did. Just to get out of the heat of it. I don't blame him. But the man obviously had a good idea. And, like, even if you want to say that the YouTube crowd boosted that idea to, like, the forefront of gaming, clearly he had a good idea. I mean, however you make it at this point, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he has to jump through arbitrary hoops. I'm not that much of an asshole. So Scott Cawthorn and all these other studios, I respect the hell out of them. You know why? Because you could go on Itch.io, you could go on Steam, you could go on probably some other, places I don't really know much about that have games. You could get a dozen of these games a day, and you would never run out. And they're all, like, weird quality. They're all, like, the typical game. It takes a lot to make a game like Welcome to the Game and FNAF. And maybe someday I'll just buy them just to own them and never play them, which will be hilarious. And I gotta respect the hell out of them for that, because that's gotta be very, very, it's a knife's edge that you walk. And I feel for them. I know this kind of turned into an indie dev scenario, but the long way around it is I feel bad for a lot of these devs just trying to do weird shit, make a name for themselves, and the internet kind of came out and was like, oh my god, they're making a game about female Twitch streamers, which is a totally understandable sentiment from the other side. I just wish people had more of the foresight to just look at it, and maybe they canceled it for other reasons, but I think that there was definitely an idea somewhere in there that I could respect from them, because I know that that's not, their studio does other stuff like that. Because what was that fucking game called? Super Seducer. If Super Seducer can get made, that, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, say what you will about whatever female streamers they should feel, right? Blame the website for endorsing that behavior. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, isn't it? Blame the website. Blame the website and blame the people that support them. I mean, like, they're just filling a niche, right? Like, I can't really get too mad at them. I could maybe get mad at dumb shit that they do. And I really, you know, my pet peeve is when people do stuff and they fuck up the entire ecosystem for everyone else. That's the shit I hate. That's why the TV meta on Twitch is bullshit. You're copyright violating. Any YouTuber with a brain in his head will tell you you're violating copyright. I got hit for copyright on playthroughs just because YouTube's algorithm thought it was the movie. For real. It was two games and 3 videos. It was Kingdom Hearts 3 and Ratchet and Clank. I even finished the fucking Ratchet and Clank reboot. I gotta do that before I play Rift Apart, but I'm in no hurry to play Rift Apart, so it's no biggie. They thought I fucking uploaded the movie. They legitimately thought for both of those games I took segments of a movie and spliced it into my video game playthrough seamlessly. They thought that. They thought for the Tangled world and the Frozen world in Kingdom Hearts. Those are the only 2 worlds I got hit on. I didn't get hit for Big Hero 6. Not yet. That's the thing. I didn't get hit for it yet. I've never even seen Big Hero 6. I'm never going to. But that's what bothers me about it, is it's like, dude, the fuck you mean? But then they have a TV man. Someday, someone's going to watch the wrong TV show. And I don't know if it'll be anime or what it's gonna be. But like I could tell you any Twitch streamer doing this is a dumbass. I mean, like, they know they're not gonna get banned. They're too big. They're too big to be kicked off. But you know what they're doing is eventually gonna have a ripple effect. Like, these companies, like you saw what happened with Metallica and all this shit. These companies are not just gonna sit around and be like, oh well, fuck it, we don't care. Maybe the Japanese anime companies will not care because they just, whatever, they don't give a shit. But even then, someday it's going to end. And when it ends, I don't want it to come down with sanctions for the rest of us, like the last 3 things that happened on YouTube. You know, you can't even upload a YouTube video now. Are there children in the video? The fuck does that have to do with me? You know, oh, you can't even see direct sub counts on YouTube anymore. That's not my fault. And me losing my partnership was not my fault either. That was a result of the fucking bullshit that happened in 2018. And this Elsa Spider-Man bullshit, which is also stupid. It's unfortunate. That's just how it is. I mean, like, if you're somehow on my channel and you somehow listen to me rant about stuff for 30 minutes, I mean, that's another story entirely. But I mean, like that's kind of how it is. So however you feel about it, I still gotta respect them. I still gotta respect the indie devs because they really keep the lights on a lot of this shit, you know? Like, regardless of how you feel about Five Nights at Freddy's and just everything that spawned from it, you know, that's why I never really shit on the franchise too much. Just because, like, I can respect the indie dev drive to make games. And I can respect that he, you know, this random dude went from whatever it was that he did, like making weird religious games or something, to playing and making, you know, horror games. And it worked! You know? And I mean, like, yeah, it's on some weird engine or whatever that I've never heard of before this, but, you know, you gotta give the man credit where it's due. Should have been the first fucking inclination. The man is a Christian. I don't know any... trust me, the amount of left-wing Christians I know are diminishing drastically. But, like, I respect the dude. It is what it is. Other than that, I didn't really have much to talk about. Besides, the big thing is the merger. You know, obviously the details about it are going to get hashed out. There was some other stuff to talk about. I had some of the Nintendo notes for the internal response to Activision Blizzard. Well, it doesn't even matter anymore, right? Like, who cares? There's a bunch of stupid shit that happened at Blizzard. They had to delay Overwatch 2. They had to delay Diablo 4. I mean, now it kind of makes a little more sense, obviously. What really will be interesting to see is what happens with World of Warcraft, because you know the other 2 games are going to come out and be new. Overwatch 2, I don't really care about. Even one of my friends who used to play it, like, on the, not pro, but, you know, like the small leagues or whatever, he was doing it really hardcore at his heyday. I don't really give a shit, man. I don't. That's crazy. The one thing that they couldn't do was tell you when Bobby Kotick is leaving, which is extra hilarious. They have no idea. Nobody wanted to give an idea of it. Apparently, he's expected to leave, according to the Wall Street Journal, at some point when this deal is finalized. But who knows? I don't. Oh yeah, and the only other topic I had was Resident Evil 4 VR was censored, which was supposed to go hand in hand with the playthrough of it that I just did, which is extra hilarious. It also doesn't include any of the extra modes, like Mercenaries or Separate Ways. What a great usage of money. VR is fantastic, I swear. It is truly stupendous and amazing to own a VR game, or to own a VR headset. Especially a game that is so fucking well played and so well known from top to bottom. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. That's disgusting. But anyway, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. A BioWare exec left? Is that a thing I have? Yeah, I don't really care. I don't. I'll be honest with you. But yeah, BioWare exec left, and it's unfortunate, but oh well. I mean, EA is the other ailing fucking company, just barely fucking coasting along day to day. But I mean, whatever. They got EA Sports. I mean, they could just do that. That's always going to make money. You know, Battlefield 2042 could be, what is it? Hold on. Because every time I look, that shit is like at $40 permanently, down from either 60 or 70. I don't even remember what the original price was. Let me open up GameStop really quickly. I keep GameStop open. I actually need to buy some games. Oh shit, the price went down more? Good thing I waited on that. Holy shit, I'm gonna buy that. Okay, very nice. Well, let's go. Let's get it. Oh god. Sorry, I'm still a little congested, so I'm kind of fucked up. Here, I'll open this in a new tab. Oh shit, they got Xbox Series X bundles available. Based. What the fuck? Why can't I... Okay, what's going on here? Why is this inspecting element when it totally shouldn't? See, now I want to do something. It was at like 39 something. 2042. It's kind of crazy. You could actually get Xbox games. Yeah, Battlefield 2042 is $39.82. If you want to get it physically. Okay, cool. Let's go to Amazon real quick. Hold on, I'm gonna cough. I'll see if I even remember to cut that out. I should have paused. Oh, great. I fucked up my mic. Damn. That sucks. Shit. I had it perfect. Oh, okay. Maybe that's fine. Probably not. Yeah, I was looking up Battlefield 2042. But I already know it's for cheap. The game is on permanent discount. Because, like, you can't have a game be on sale for, like, 3 months. Yeah, same thing here. Same thing. They're $39.82. Before tax. So, like, honestly, you're getting fucked if you buy digitally. I don't know. I know that the game didn't run on my computer because my shit's incredibly outdated, but it's whatever. To me, that's just like perma-discount. Permanent. And that's not good. That screams something bad. So whatever. I mean, EA gonna do what EA gonna do. EA suffering has been suffering a long time. I mean, like, I don't even know what to tell you anymore at this point. And it's impossible to feel bad for them too, because they kind of do it to themselves. How many years have they had to prep for the next modern game? Because you know people like modern shooters. That's the whole point. People love modern shooters. That's the fucking point. And I just personally think that they err too much on the side of bullshit. And I think that they try to fill their games with too much stupidity. But I digress. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you maybe next week. I don't know. Maybe there'll be something to talk about for at least a little bit. And then, yeah, that'll be fun. So, Based, have a good one.